Good morning, everyone. This is Sherry Galvanize coming to you live from the space. Mic check. All right, good. So here we are live. Yes. Oh my gosh. I am following up on a previous video that I did, and it was in relation to bullying. We've been talking about bullying a little bit here for the past few sessions, and I'm going to continue on with it a little bit, but I'm tying it in with the inner critic. I'm tying it in with the bullying that you do to yourself, and also tying it into office politics a little bit. Okay, I don't know if any of you have any office politics situations going on, or if you ever have, but if you ask me, that feels a lot like bullying sometimes. When you've got office politics going on and someone's over here going, "Nyah, nyah, 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 nyah. I know everything, you know nothing, I'm smarter than you, I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna tell the boss on you." Don't you just love it? You thought you were gonna be done with it in grade school. You thought it was just a thing that happened in middle school, but no, it's not. So bullying, office politics, and the inner critic. I'm going to talk about all those things today. I took a little note. These are my notes. And at the end of the day, my hope for you is that you'll stand up to the bully, stand up to the inner critic, stand up to the person who's got wacky office politics, and just know that just know it for what it is, okay? So what are a couple of ways that the bully shows up, or the inner critic shows up? I think it's a cycle, it's a circle. I haven't drawn a graph of this or anything like that, but let's say either you were naturally born criticizing yourself, which it seems that there are some very sensitive people who do kind of feel a little bit more inadequate right off of the bat, and then other people pick up on it and they tease you for it. And at the beginning, they might be teasing you in a good-hearted kind of way. Like, I heard this story yesterday about this gal who was shy. And so every time she would meet someone new, she'd sort of cower behind her mom and hide, and then someone would say, "Oh, she's just shy," right? So they kept on saying, "Oh, she's just shy." And after a while, that can become an identity for some people. I'm just shy. And so that's the automatic reaction that they have, and they might not grow out of it. And then some people who are shy, they might have some kind of like, for example, their face turns red and it's very obvious that they're shy, or they do something and they can't really hide it. So again, they get teased for this, which sometimes it's just good-hearted teasing. I'm not saying that teasing is the best feeling in the world, but people aren't meaning to attack you. They find it in some way humorous, and so they draw it out. But then you feel bad about it on top of it. Your own inner critic tells you there's something wrong with you for having this reaction. And then that's when it starts to feel like bullying. And then sometimes your own responses, where they realize that they can really get you and they can really get you good, amps up their level of bullying. So I think that that's a role that sometimes we play in the whole game. And knowing that, I think that puts people in a place of power to do something different. Whether it's bullying, office politics, it's probably got some kind of tie-in to the inner critic. So what are you saying to yourself about yourself? Are you okay with you? Can you just accept you? Do you have possibly some unresolved issues that make you not okay with you? Maybe some shame, maybe some anger, maybe some sadness, maybe just not letting go of the past. Yeah, it's just so much, and not all of us can deal with it by ourselves. Actually, I don't think people are meant to deal with this by themselves. You got to find somebody who can support you through these times. So I believe that the inner critic and the bullying tied together, or the fear of being bullied, sometimes creates our own office politics. I've seen it happen a number of times. So you've got sometimes that person who feels real good about themselves and real confident, and they just go forward and do whatever they want to do, and everybody goes, okay, that person just does whatever they want to do. Don't mess with that. And they're fine. Then there's other people who say, well, I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to do anything wrong. I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want anybody to get mad at me. I don't want to get fired. And so they hold themselves back, and whether they realize it or not, other people are picking up on that. Just like other people can see your red face when you're shy, you have body language that's emitting out of you in that you don't even know. If you had a camera on yourself, you might know, but other than that, you probably don't know. But other people who are paying attention, and especially other people who've seen this over and over again, who are paying attention, can have some kind of a response to it. So you already have that part inside of you that says, I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want anyone to get mad at me. I don't know what people are going to think about this. I don't know if they're going to like it. And so you've kind of got that cowering presence within you already. So then when you say your idea, or you move forward on your idea, it comes out maybe with a little bit of a squeaky voice, a little bit of a scrunchy look on your face, a little bit of a slumped shoulder, or some kind of thing like that. It could be something very, very subtle. But just that in and of itself makes it so that you are now, instead of being praised for your innovation, are under suspicion for not following the rules. I believe that on an inner level, you can work on that you can develop courage within yourself, and you can become bold enough to step out of the box and work through that little moment in time where it appears as though somebody disapproves of you, when really they might be thinking, I never had anybody say it that way, or, wow, I've never noticed this person being so courageous before, or they're just stunned in a way because they don't know what to do. But if you are insecure in yourself and you have your own inner critic, you're reading their body language and saying, they don't like me. They don't like my idea. They're mad at me. I knew it. I'm going to get in trouble. It's called a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's one of my favorite concepts, one of my most favorite concepts to talk about. Oh, man. I don't know if any of you have read about or heard about the self-fulfilling prophecy anywhere in your readings or in your studies at school. I know I have a lot of human services students who I'm involved with, so you've taken some psychology classes, but there's some classic research. My favorite is the Pygmalion in the classroom, where basically the teacher has an effect on the students' performance. And then the students start living up to the teacher's performance. But there are other ways that the self-fulfilling prophecy works besides that. It's basically what you expect out of people is what you get from them. And I don't know, it's just really fascinating. I didn't have that in my notes, and I didn't plan on talking about that. So even myself, I'm catching myself off guard. But if you were to look at self-fulfilling prophecy or Pygmalion in the classroom, classic research from Rosenthal in the 60s or something like that. If you were to look at The Eye of the Storm with Jane Elliott, a PBS or a CBS News documentary type thing that's about an hour long, and you were to watch how the children in the classroom were impacted in one day by what the teacher said to them. From the morning until recess, what the teacher was saying to the kids was already changing their behavior. So then they flip-flopped it the next day, and the teacher again had an impact on the students, but this time it was totally the opposite. Same students, same classroom, same teacher, different approach, different attitude. Fascinating stuff. I had on my notes to talk about expectations and assumptions, fear to dream, fear to innovate. I think this is what the inner critic does. We doom ourselves. We create our own self-fulfilling prophecy. We say things, oh, I knew people weren't going to like my idea, or something like that, or I knew I shouldn't have done it. I had on my notes unworthiness, comparing ourselves to others. This is a big one that ties in with bullying and office politics. Sometimes we think that we should be something different than what we are. And that's, again, our inner critic, or the bully talking to us. We're not good enough. We should be different. We should be like that person. That person is better than we are. And that comparison, it never works out good. So I think that today, when I say that my hope for you is that you stand up to the bully, part of also what I'm saying is that my hope for you is that you will recognize your own role in the whole process and be okay with you, how you are, instead of trying to change how you are. I believe that when you stop bullying yourself and stop criticizing yourself, then other people will be more okay with you as well. Or you'll just start, some people will go away and some people will come to you. And it will be based on you. It will be based on your vibe. I mean, yes. So I was thinking today that I might actually give you a couple of words to think about. Maybe not so much a meditation, but just something to do or something to think about if you find yourself in this situation. You find yourself feeling bullied, feeling attacked, feeling misunderstood, and it may or may not be real. You know, sometimes people say things, and hi Al, manifest destiny. Yeah, I don't know if I think you just got here, but I was talking also earlier about self-fulfilling prophecy, but manifest destiny, I like that a lot. So anyway, I'm easily distracted sometimes, but I was talking about how, what was I talking about? No. See, now I could get really flustered right now. I could say, oh my God, this is terrible. I should know everything. I should know what I'm going to say next. I should have been more prepared. I could start beating myself up. But instead, I have a choice. I could just laugh about it. I could just let go. I could trust. I could, it's not your fault. I'm so glad you're here, Al. I'm seriously glad you're here. I am not kidding. And I know that you understand ADHD. So I know that I'm in understanding, capable, compassionate hands, which is so wonderful. And this kind of goes along with what I'm talking about today, the bully, the inner critic, and office politics. How sometimes we play into our own office politics, and sometimes we misinterpret. Like, let's say if somebody was laughing at us, like maybe Al and I would be in a class together, and I might forget something, and Al would start laughing, and I might think, Al's laughing at me. I'm terrible. I'm horrible. But really, the reason why Al is laughing is because he's all, oh yeah, been there, done that. I understand, you know? It's a laughter of association, but when we're down on ourselves and we have our own inner critic in full speed, full bloom, then sometimes we misinterpret. And then I think it creates that spiral. And that's also part of that self-fulfilling prophecy. See, I knew I wasn't any good. Look at people are laughing at me. I should be something other than I am. And then sometimes the other people are going, oh my God, that's so awesome how she just laughs at herself and she gets distracted just like me and yada yada. You know what I think you know what I'm talking about. I hope you do. Oh my God. Because if you don't, then I won't be a very good person, will I? You know, at one point in my life, the inner critic was so bad and so debilitating that I had to make it a personality, and I called it Pulisa. I was going to Toastmasters. I was practicing to get better at public speaking because, frankly, I was thrown off guard all the time just by people's body language. They didn't even have to laugh. It didn't have to be something you could hear. Sometimes it would just be the look on their face. They would have like a scorn or something like this, or they'd be like sad or worried, and I'd be looking out at the people in the audience, and I would have 30 different people with 30 different looks on their face, and it would throw me off. You know, I'd have a hard time with it. So I went to Toastmasters. My whole idea was to get more comfortable with just whatever was going on, to be more fluid with my speaking. And at some point I decided, you know what, I'm going to speak about my fear of speaking. And I created this personality called Pulisa, the people-pleasing perfectionist with severe issues of unworthiness. And we had a lot of fun with that, trust me. And as crazy as it might sound, it is an actual therapeutic technique. There are therapists who use that successfully with their clients to help them overcome addictions, phobias, fears. Some call it narrative therapy. Some call it cognitive behavioral therapy. But there's this really good book by Jenny Schaefer. Again, distracted. Something. Oh, Life Without Ed. Life Without Ed. And ED stood for eating disorder. Jenny Schaefer had such a severe eating disorder and anorexia that her and her therapist who was a social worker, came up with this therapy. And basically, she would talk to Ed. It's like, what does Ed say? Well, Ed says, don't eat breakfast. Ed says, you're fat. Ed says, it won't hurt if you exercise for 8 hours a day. And so on and so forth. Well, Jenny Schaefer, instead of thinking, oh, this eating disorder is me, this is who I am, she's just detached from it. It's like, oh, that's Ed. Yeah, there goes Ed again, talking about all that nonsense. So that's what I did with Pulisa. I made fun of it. I got up on stage and said the things that Pulisa would be saying to me in my head out loud, and people were totally laughing. They thought it was so funny. And even at first, when they were laughing, I was kind of like, oh my God, they're laughing at this terrible voice in my head, and I can't believe it. What are they thinking about me? But what it gave was the freedom for people to understand that they weren't alone. So what I wanted to give you before I go is something that you could do or say anytime you feel the inner critic is really bubbling up inside of you. You're projecting onto another person that they are bullying you. You're having counter-transference or transference. Practice, don't do this, practice this at home first, okay? I'm kind of kidding, but practice. Maybe you'll practice it in the mirror. Maybe you'll just say it to yourself. But basically get comfortable with telling yourself in your own mind and knowing in your own mind that this is just you. And maybe telling yourself an alternative answer. So I have some office politics sometimes. Sometimes. And in the beginning, it was debilitating and it threw me off track. And then I started to realize that there were certain people who do certain things all the time. And so instead of being just throwing myself out there to the wolves, I prepared myself mentally, and I would just look this person straight in the face. And then inside my own head, I'd be thinking, this has nothing to do with me. I'm here for, and then I know what is it I'm there for. I just stay on point, and if I have to repeat myself, I repeat myself. So instead of just being thrown out of the car, tumbling down the street, totally lost track of what I was going to do next, licking my wounds, I just look at the person. Okay, yeah, go ahead, have your tantrum, whatever. That's nice, entertaining, good. Has nothing to do with me. I saw you do this before. I know you do it all the time. I saw you do it to other people, whatever. Are you done yet? Okay, so what I'm here for is boom, and then you just do it and say it. And then the other person doesn't know what to do next. And they pretty much just stop doing what they were doing. That's what I've found most of the time. So you have to get to the point to know other people have their own issues going on that have nothing to do with you. If they look like they're angry, if they look like they doubt you, if it looks like they're sad, if it looks like they're mad, don't think that it has something to do with you. Because probably the majority of the time, it doesn't. If for some particular reason, maybe there is something that you need to discuss, it's still to your advantage to be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. My hope is you'll stand up to the bully, but I don't think that standing up has to mean fighting. I think it could just be, I'm not backing down, and I'm not leaving, and I'm not giving up, and I'm going to state my case, and I'm going to follow through. And I'm not going to let your interpretation of me become my interpretation of me. And that's it. Yeah, hey, I might not be perfect, but that doesn't mean that I'm terrible either. And it doesn't mean you can push me around and tell me, try to turn me into something that I'm not even. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. The self-fulfilling prophecy. I love it so much right now. I'm so excited. I'm glad that I have this platform to be able to talk to myself, and it's perfectly okay. Oh, but thank you seriously for your comments. Some of you have made comments, you've emailed me, you've put comments in the video, and so I know that this is resonating with some people, and sometimes you need to have that support system. You need to hear yourself. Sometimes I need to hear myself. And so I'm closing my eyes for a minute here, just do not necessarily a guided meditation, but just sort of a reflective thought. If you could imagine yourself in that scenario that is sometimes intimidating to you, maybe it's something that you have to deal with on a daily basis. Maybe it's something from the past that isn't even happening anymore, but you keep thinking about it over and over again. Why don't you just take in a deep breath and exhale. And notice if there's any particular part of your body where you're holding that tension about that situation. Do you feel, is your stomach upset? Is your throat tight? Are your hands sweaty? Are you gripping? Are you tensing up in your muscles? And if you do notice an area where it's just kind of bothering you in your body, with this next breath, I want you to imagine taking your breath right to that area. And hold it. And just start by saying everything is okay. You are okay. You can handle this. You can move through this. And exhale as you say that. If it's a real person that you have to deal with on a regular basis, maybe you can practice, imagine seeing that person. You can either do it with your eyes closed or looking in the mirror. But imagine yourself with that person and let whatever feeling comes up, comes up. If it's a nervous feeling, fine. Just go ahead and breathe through it, talk through it, whatever. If it's neutral because that person isn't there, that's fine too. But just imagine what you would either say to them verbally out of your mouth or what you would say to yourself next time they're around. Be prepared to be around that person and to stay strong. Don't prepare yourself to cower. Don't prepare yourself to be afraid, because that is when the bully and or the person with the terrible office politics gets the best of you. There's going to be sometimes the inner critic too that's going to tell you you can't handle it. It's going to start imagining worst case scenarios. Sometimes you'll have to deal with that. The you who is afraid of confrontation, maybe. Afraid of abandonment, afraid of being left behind, rejected, fired, whatever the case may be. Chances are it's mostly your fear and it's not going to happen. And one way you can check into that is to just look around. Is everybody getting fired around you? Or is nobody getting fired? What about, are the people who are thriving and successful and happy, are they the ones who are taking risks, or are they the ones who are following the rules? I don't know. Just do a little experiment for yourself and see what happens. Thanks for joining me today. Thanks for watching. Please feel free to leave comments and keep in touch. I hope you have a wonderful week. I'll be back again next Thursday, 11:11 Pacific Standard Time. Bye for now. Bye. Bye, Al. It's okay if you say something. It won't distract me. Well, actually, I'm getting ready to push the little button. I might not see it. Okay. Ciao.